you're most likely already in the Telegram or the Discord, or we probably have your email. So we'll be sending out more information about the beta as stuff goes on. Yeah, so we've actually gotten some great applications for full stack devs from the continent, and mostly developers is what we've been seeing. I mean, and then a large portion of the following here, I think actually percentage-wise, I think Nigeria is the largest percentage of our followers actually on this page. So we're trying to reach out to more builders over there. If you know any, Rick, that would be great. Just put us in contact, because we're currently hiring, and it's definitely really important for us to make sure that we keep those connections going. So.
All right, we got another person just joined.
So this is Ricardo. This is Mr. Sutherland himself.
Oh, what's going on, Ricardo? How are you?
Long time no see, man. I'm doing very, very well. How about yourself?
Doing great. So just quickly about me, and then I can fade off and watch you young geniuses build together. But my name is Derek Ferguson, and Vibranium is just the most important project I've ever been involved in my now close to 40-year career. Ultimately, it's the answer to the big question about how do we do something different and make a difference in this economic landscape that really hasn't benefited our people, whether here in the U.S. or in Africa. And when you look at building something that's going to do something different, the first thing you look for is just a new approach, or in this case, a new technology that allows you to take out some of the barriers that have existed historically, that have not allowed you to get past some of those kind of structural barriers. So the technology was really blockchain, Web 3.0. So that really opened the door. And then what we've really tried to do with Vibranium, one is to say, we can't do it alone. We need scale. We need size. The U.S. is great. We have great purchasing power. But one of the greatest things that has been accomplished is the ability for us to not look right on the map and remember where we all came from and just understand what's going on there. So as we're sitting here with 40 million African Americans, another group of Latinx here in the U.S., we're looking at 1 billion people on the African continent. We're looking at the fastest growing continent. We're looking at the fastest growing youth movement. The stat that really motivated me to, tap into these young brains to figure out what we were going to do is that this is I have to say this one slowly. By 2050, which is around the corner, 2050, 45% of all human beings, 25 years and under, will be on the African continent. So almost 1 out of 2 people under 25 in the whole world will be on the African continent. So the youth movement, the creativity, the opportunity, the skills, the technological advancement that should be coming from the continent, if we support it appropriately, is something we've never seen ever. And if we miss this opportunity, somebody's going to go grab it. China's trying to grab it now. Russia's trying to grab it. So, we are well positioned to say, you know what, we're going to grab it for ourselves and do something collectively. So building this is really about finding a new way to solve a problem that honestly nobody solved. Nobody solved it. I mean, Goldman Sachs is not going to solve it. They're benefiting from it. I would say a good a good thing to help you measure on whether or not you're getting the right solution is the person that's posing the solution, are they benefiting from the problem? If they are, they probably aren't the right ones to solve the problem. So we have an opportunity to really collectively build a new economy or a new economic paradigm through technology. And so that's why the three pillars we built really mirror an economy. So if you really think about what Vibranium is, we're creating a new country, right? Of like-minded people who are like tired of collectively finishing last and tired of systems that have assured that we're going to finish last. Not that we individually can't do well. I'm blessed and fortunate. Many of us are. But collectively, we can't be happy at night if collectively we still end up in the same spot. So what we did is the three pillars: commerce, that's V-commerce. V-fluence is the most critical. That's about really valuing all of our creativity, our culture building, our influence, and putting the proper value on it. The last piece is what I call the piece that's our stimulus. That's our loans and our grants to make sure that our businesses thrive, that we have economics, that companies can grow and we can build. You know, I was going to say a couple little quick things because these things like really motivated me. So think about companies like Spotify. Ricardo, imagine if I gave you like Spotify is still not profitable. Imagine if I just gave you like 50 billion and said, don't even worry about making money. Don't even worry about being profitable. You got $50 billion to figure it out. In our world, in our community, our best and most equipped people get like $50,000. You know what I mean? Maybe they get $1 million or $5 million. $50 billion, figure it out. We got to be able to stimulate ourselves the way other large companies and other creative people get stimulated. So that's the stimulus, loans and grants part of our network. Just another point about V-fluence. One of the things nobody can deny is how we here as African Americans in America, how we all driven culture and driven influence. And all innovation leans on us to drive culture and influence. And that's why I oftentimes get really disturbed by how they're using us to drive the speculative side of cryptocurrency, and a whole bunch of institutions are making money from it, but the small players are losing money from it. And it's just the same playbook over and over again. Let me get Kevin Durant. Let me get this one. Let me get that one. You know, and they're going to drive all the culture. They're going to drive all of the influence. They're going to drive the credibility, and we're going to win on the run up. But what we're going to change in the V-fluence module is, what I say, growing up in the Bronx at the height of the creation of hip hop in the, I was born in 1965. So when I was 12 years old in 1977, in my house, we had 2 turntables and a mixer and a mic, right? Because that's what you had in the Bronx in 1977. So everybody had, and everybody was trying to figure it out and figure out how to make music. But what we didn't do right is, if you think about any other major movement or major industry that was created from scratch, the people that created it benefited. Not only did they benefit, but the communities they were from benefited. Look at Silicon Valley. Look up the history of Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was a moderate income neighborhood before tech grew out of Silicon Valley. It takes a real missed opportunity for us to have one of the greatest economic movements ever in hip hop grow out of Brooklyn, Bronx, Yonkers, Queens, Compton, all of the inner cities, and none of those inner cities benefited. And the reason why is 2 things. We didn't set the value and we didn't set the ownership level. We allowed ourselves to get fragmented. We allowed one company to pull us over here. Hey, I like that hip hop thing. I'm gonna give you $2 million. And we just ran off. We ran off of Universal over here, Warner here. We ran off of this clothing company here. We got fragmented. We got little pieces of chains broken off, and everybody thought that this was the greatest thing ever. But what we did was we gave away the 90% and only kept 10%, and we never got the proper value. So what we're building on Vibranium is going to be, you have to come to us. Doing this right means that influencers and creatives are going to be are going to stand together, and we're going to have an open marketplace so we know what the price is that's being offered. And if it's not the right price, we're not going to accept it. Go somewhere else. We're not even going to allow you to access our influence. So that's really what it is. And, you know, I'm sorry, long-winded about it, but I'm excited about it. To me, it is a culmination of all of my experiences in entertainment and music and strategy and in technology. And we can really do it. And, you know, and I leave it to you, this young generation, to put all of your skills and capabilities and knowledge and relationships into it, because you're going to really drive it. And, you know, with us bringing the generations together, the continents together, we really can't lose.
Yes, yes, 100%. And Ricardo, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. I want to add something to that. I think the thing that this technology allows that we haven't had is a method of organization that is defensible and controllable, because that's the way value is created. It's through things being added onto other things that stand steady. And I think that's the problem in a lot of our communities. We haven't had anything that stood steady. So you could have two generations of work that get set back 3 generations. So I think what we need to realize is technology is now allowing us to build things that are more permanent. So with that in mind, does that change what you want to build? Does that change the sort of level of cooperation? Because cooperation can't happen if I don't think you're going to be where you were tomorrow. Like if I don't think I'm going to be around the same people tomorrow, I'm not going to cooperate with them. Like that's competition, because I'm never going to see them again. But when you have things that are more permanent, you can collaborate. And I think that's why we're trying to build a community that is really about collaborating and building things together and incremental value. And, you know, the blockchain it's interoperable. So you can build things and link them together. And Ricardo, I'll let you hop in, because I think you bring an interesting perspective. You know a lot about Web3, but you also you know about tech. And I think I mean, all 3 of us have been in the music industry. So we kind of know how those 3 things kind of can overlap. So yeah, I'll let you just share some words.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just give a quick introduction to folks that don't know me, but I'm Ricardo Sutherland. I work at YouTube with our creator partnerships group. So we work very, very closely with some of the biggest revenue generators on the platform. Think like the Casey Neistats of the world. Think the Marquez Brownlees, the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls. It's super fascinating to see just how much people are starting to talk about Web3 at that level too. And I think that just in general, there's a cautious optimism about it, right? Like optimism, because I think that it's bringing about like a new way for people to connect with their community, with their most loyal friends and fans. But the cautiousness is like it's something new, right? And with the markets going as crazy as they are, both like just like the regular stock market, and then obviously by virtue of that Web3 and like the cryptos and the NFT space, I think a lot of folks are like, you know what, I don't even know the first way to get involved, or I don't really want to risk it and potentially throw something out there to my community that's half baked, which I completely understand, right? Like if you're going to jump into this space, you want to do it right. You want to do it the right way. You want to take your time. Hence why, like, I really appreciate what you guys are doing at Vibranium, because like, I know that there's a lot of pressure from the community to move very fast, but to your point about what you just said, you know, it's a long game. If you know that something's going to be around permanently for a long period of time, you want to do it right. And those are like the Web3 and NFT projects that I feel like have done well, the ones that have really thought things out and have taken their time. And obviously you're going to have some, you know, hiccups along the way, but the ones that have really worked well, like, yeah, they're not afraid to take the risk, but they're taking their time in terms of building something that's going to actually last. So I love that. Yeah, just a little bit more about me. Yeah, so my background, I started my career off in music and entertainment, Derek will appreciate this. I could have sworn that I was going to be the next Diddy, shiny suits and all. But that hasn't happened yet. But maybe with Web3, you know, maybe
I'm
there's still a
back.
possibility, right?
Yeah.
But no, I started my career off working with a very intelligent and brilliant dude by the name of Ant Demby. He had a company called Humble Riot, which was managing musicians at the time and then also helping brands integrate music and lifestyle and culture into their marketing strategies. And they're still crushing it to this day. So shout outs to Humble Riot. But that was the first time that I really got introduced to like the importance of community and the intersection of technology and music and entertainment and how that can be propelled. And so from there, we were working with the likes of will.i.am, the likes of Childish Gambino, who are just like tech savvy folks and like just exposed me to like those intersections and how important it can be. And so after that, I joined an independent media agency called Horizon Media, helping them out with their sports and entertainment practice. Ended up at business school at MIT. Definitely got a lot of exposure to folks thinking about cryptos and blockchains. It was pretty crazy. Like Ethan Boydo, who you probably know, RJ from the
Yeah.
Wharton days. He's one of my closest buddies to
Yeah.
this day. And I just remember how he like started a movement at Sloan where everyone was in the cafeteria just like trying to trade cryptos or figure out like what was going to happen. And this was back in like 2017, right? And so I'm the more like trepid kind of person to jump in, right? But just to see how like so many people are using it to like build their community, and I do think that it's going to be an opportunity in the long run for folks to really establish and create generational wealth. It's really fascinating. So yeah, I'll pause. I don't want to be
Oh yeah.
long-winded. That so.
No, I think that was a great perspective. Actually, I do want to ask you a question. You know, as much as you could say about the Web3 with the creators' potential, what's going on over there. But you know, you raise a good point. Like the technology itself isn't magic. It's what you could do with it, and you know, I think there's so many tokens out there. There's so many things where people have made money, but then if you ask them like what the token does, or like how does it work, or like why is it worth that much, they can't really tell you. So on paper, what you can do with Web3 and blockchain is you can create things of lasting value that are attached to things with real value. I think a lot of people have been creating things of lasting value that aren't attached to anything. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to take something that has value, which is, you know, the cultural impact and influence and creativity of a certain group of people. And we're trying to turn that into a tangible, quantifiable unit that you can exchange and that can be used to, you know, build more things. And I think that's yeah, it's important to not treat blockchain like it alone is going to save the world, because then you end up just throwing your money after every token. It's about the team, it's about the project, it's about the mission. And I think, you know, we're so early. We're like pre AOL. You think about the internet, we're way before, you know, you got mail. You know, we're not even there yet. So we got a long way to go. But Ricardo, could you, I mean, you know, obviously I know you probably can't say everything, but what have you seen in terms of what sort of bigger companies are thinking? How are they approaching Web3? And like, I guess, why are they interested in it?
So that's an interesting question. I mean, I can talk about big companies in general, right? Like, I mean, I think that companies are approaching it in very different ways, right? Like, obviously, we know that Twitter is like the hotbed for like a lot of NFT stuff. And so they've been pretty bullish. Twitter's founder was like pretty early on with cryptos and in spite of like all the stuff that's happening with Elon, like they want to make sure that that is like a big, like Web3 is like a big focus for them, right? Even with his other company Block, like he changed the name from Square to Block because like he believes that blockchain and cryptos are going to be the future. And that's a company that all of us know. But like even in other tech sectors, like Microsoft is actively making investments in this space, right? Like the head of blockchain for Microsoft, his name's York Rhodes. He used to teach at NYU, and now he's like leading the blockchain initiative. So they're obviously going to try and make bets. I can't really speak too much about like what Google's doing, and honestly, I think that Google's like still in the process of figuring out. But what I can say is like internally, like, you know, there are employee started groups like, you know, women of Web3 or NF Tuesdays, things like that, that like a lot of people are a part of, and there's like 200, 300, 400 people every week like tuning into these conversations. We bring people along from different projects like paper.xyz or a bunch of random like folks from the NFT space just to like learn. And what I will say is like I think the reason why you see big companies and like some of the smartest people in the room at these companies are starting to get invested is because they really do believe in the longevity, right? Like some people could look at this space and see it as like that whole like the bulb craze that happened in the 1600s where like everybody was like trying to buy these random flowers and then it kind of went to crap, right? That's one pessimistic way of thinking about it, but I think that the example that you gave is a much better perspective, right? Like where we're talking about like the beginning of the internet, or like not the beginning of the internet, but like early 2000s, the boom, right? Like there was a lot of companies that went under in that space, but the ones that were able to prevail and actually establish like real value to consumers, to customers, to people, those are the ones that we're still talking about to this day, right? Like the ones that kind of happened in that space, like the Googles of the world. And so I do think that there is going to be some companies that are trying things out that might not necessarily make it through this like next wave that we go through, but the ones that kind of stand the test of time and build things right, they're going to be like the next generation of the companies that we talk about. And that's why you see companies like Microsoft, companies like Google, companies like Amazon, all these companies making bets in this space because they know that they have to. They know that it's going to be the wave of the future, and it's early enough to get in there and figure out what's actually working so that you can actually be a part of that exponential growth.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, it's like, yeah, that's kind of, it's always a good sign when the people with the biggest bags are kind of, they're interested. They're, they want to make sure they get there first. So yeah, it's like,
Just
again,
one point about that that Derek kind of mentioned though, like, and I think you mentioned it too. It's like what's important for like the Pan African community though is like we're and why it's so important what you guys are doing is like typically we're always like second or third to like doing these things, and so by the time we start to get involved, there's someone else that's already laid or staked a claim to like the things that we want to do. But what other people can't necessarily do that like we've always known about our culture is like push the culture and like be the ones that are like the cultural purveyors, and that's always going to be something that's endemic to us. And so this is the first time that I see like platforms and technology that are going to allow people to like take full ownership of that and propel it. And so that's why it's so beautiful, like the marketplace that you guys are creating, and I'm excited to see what's in storms for sure.
And Ricardo, one of the things for me that's a new behavior is having the, we are now like when I listen to you and I listen to RJ and I listen to your group of peers and I hear MIT, Wharton, it's like now you have people that understand hip hop, understand technology, understand their communities, and they're all, all getting this incredible access and education. So it's time for us to now just be confident, right? The reason why we've given up so much value is we haven't really believed in ourselves enough to say, I'm not coming to you. You have to come to me. You know what I mean? Like, the biggest thing you hear about entrepreneurs who are building something, they weren't like, they weren't like, well, let me just build this a little way and then I'll go get some money. Like you look at, look at people like Vlad Tenoff in the Robinhood app. He was in his garage. He's like, I'm building something. Whoever wants to get down can get down, but I'm building it. Here's how I'm building it. I have the roadmap. I know that I'm building something that's needed. So we have to like have that confidence about ourselves and flip the paradigm and have people come wanting to be a part of what we're doing. We got 1 billion Africans. We got, 40 million influential African Americans. We have other brown communities in America and around the globe. It's time for us to be confident enough to know we have something and we can build something, and other people are going to want to come and need to come, versus us being worried about, oh, well, is Andreessen going to give us money this week or that one or this one? Like, actually, no, like the Andreessen should be like, no offense to my buddies at Andreessen Horowitz, but like, you know what I mean? We should be we should be asking the question, how should they be a part of this? Not needing them to get it done.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing about with Web3 and creating a new currency is once you have a network and you have currency in the network, that we could have a network of 500 people, but if those 500 people are producing some of the most inspiring creative works, in that time period, they don't have to worry about anything else because the numbers will come to them. And I think we've seen that happen again and again. And it's crazy because there's some creative people, you give them more money and it just gets better. And that's like, but they're still making a lot out of nothing. So I think what we need to really also just focus on is like the progressive growth. I mean, I think about Spotify is like, like Daniel Ek, I don't know if he was a musician at all. I know I know his inspiration came from Napster, which is brilliant. Like, who wouldn't have thought that, oh, the reason why Napster was good is because the music is there right when you want to hear it. And I think that's like, I guess it's just one of those things, like that idea was kind of available to anyone. But, like we were just saying, it's about the confidence to step up. And I think the people who need to be empowered most are the people who feel like, well, I'm just a creative, or I'm just a this. It's like, if you're creative, you have a broad mind, and that means your mind can hold a lot of ideas at once. So that's how you're coming up with songs. That's how you're coming up with campaigns and ads and all that stuff. And it's like, that's what these founders are doing. So, I mean, we're bouncing from a lot of different things, but the finance
Yeah.
part is huge.
Just
The
real
influence
quick,
part is huge.
I want to shout out a few people. We got one of the original gospel hip hop producers, artists, Trey Z on the line. Todd Bangs, his son, blessed us to be on this live a couple of weeks ago. We got the legendary Shawn Prez on the line. Shawn Prez has broken more records and brands than anybody in history. And as I look at the list of people tuning in, we can't lose with this group. We just gotta commit. We gotta commit to doing it together and sticking to our own game plan and having that confidence in ourselves, as I was saying before. So definitely want to shout them out.
Yep. Yeah.
And you can kick me off if you want to bring somebody else up.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool.
There's like, I'm out of here. Bring someone else up. That's so funny. I also want to give some shout outs.
Yeah.
Shout out to Janelle. I saw that she just joined. She's like running stuff over at Native, the deodorant brand. So like, she's really, really dope. Charles Wall, he's the man as well. He works directly with me on helping some of our top creators at YouTube. And Jay Rodriguez, who you know very, very well. RJ, he was in the building as well. I think he might still be in the building, but he works directly with a lot of athletes and entertainers on helping them think through like financially some of the strategic investments that they're making and helping them build their portfolio or continue to build their portfolio. So a lot of good people in the room. One thing that I will say about something that y'all brought up earlier about Andreessen, right? Like, and just like the thought process of having confidence. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles, regardless of if you're in the previous generation or this generation. Like, even with all the credentials, there's still that like imposter syndrome that still creeps in, right? And that's a real thing, regardless of who you are, how old you are, or anything like that. And a lot of times that comes from like honestly being one of the onlys in the room, right? Like, I think what was special about what you did, Derek, was you took a chance on building pretty much like the first really big like Black brand, right? Like, you partnered with someone that you like really believed in, and you guys developed something that was really unique. And it serves as like a template for a lot of the future generation, right? But there's still that idea in many people's minds that it's like 1 in a million, right? The difference that's happening now is like, even at Andreessen, right, like A16, you have someone like Chris Lyons, who's like leading some of the cultural fund, brother who's like super sharp, excited to meet him one of these days. And there's other people like Jessica Patton, who also came from that world, who ventured off and started her own private equity firm, right? And these are Black women, Black men that are doing dope stuff. You have like Henri and Jared Tingle over at Harlem Capital that are also doing really, really dope things. And so now what's happening is like the people that are making decisions at the table to like invest in these things, like you're starting to see us getting a seat at the table, word to Solange, right? Like, and previous generations didn't even have that. So we had to rely on like a Ben Horowitz to understand culture and be cool with Steve South and like invest in us. Now it's like, okay, cool. Just providing the value proposition to the people that can actually cut the checks and having them understand and wanting to like help elevate the culture still. So there's still a lot of opportunities. It doesn't necessarily, I empathize with people that still have that, like, you know, imposter mentality, sometimes imposter syndrome. I sometimes, you know, full disclosure, full transparency, I still suffer from it sometimes. But the beauty of that is like just knowing that like, hey, there's some people that are in the room that will understand the value that you can bring, understand like where culture is moving, and understand why some of the ideas that we have are super, super important. That wasn't the case back then, and now it is. So
Yeah, I think that's very true. Very true, Ricardo. And I give all those people a ton of credit. I mean, everything about what Chris Lyons did is incredible. And he's doing incredible things. There's a paradigm, though, that we still just have to think about, which is, you know, whoever brings the money gets the biggest bag. That's just the way it works, right? So at the end of the day, if we don't have to look to somebody else to bring the money, and we are putting collective, you know, we're putting collective money in the pot in the middle. I mean, that's what's been great about cryptocurrencies. You know, you get 100,000, you know, get 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 like-minded people, you could really build an economy. And that's not a lot of people, to be honest. So it's not even the individual. I love the individual presence is great. It's going to be helpful. We need all of it. But in terms of building the next kind of, when we talk about closing the wealth gap and talking about doing something that's step functions different than what we've done in the past, we have to do some things where, you know, we really retain the value and don't have to give it up and don't have to lose. Like literally what happens is in a lot of these situations, and this is just structural, you're going to lose 80 to 90% of the value to where the money came from. So that's just a structural paradigm we have to. I think the decentralization of doing something like this is powerful because it gives you an opportunity to build something without having to lose that chunk of value.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add on to that to kind of round it out. I think when it comes to confidence and kind of building things, I think the one confidence that I think some people lack is the idea that you can be a builder. I think that's something that a lot of times people are trying to figure out, oh, how can I fit into this already functioning, you know, money-making machine, and then feeling like there's a big difference between you and the person who built that machine. So it's like that gap shouldn't be there. There's a lot more people who are capable of building things. And I know, you know, Google does it. These boot camps that are coming up, I think there's good ones and bad ones, but it's kind of a big deal to be able to pick up such a valuable skill like coding, you know, in a relatively short period of time. And if that catches your interest, like you're unlocking so many possibilities for, not only for yourself, but just for the collective, because now you're someone who thinks like you do, but now you have that same skill that these other people who you kind of put on a pedestal had. So I think it's all about like the collective confidence and then also the individual confidence too. Cause, you know, I mean, you know, even myself, I remember just when I got a publishing deal, and then the slow realization it took for me to realize, you know, whatever amount of money they gave me, it was because they knew that they were going to make that much more off of me, you know? So it's like, no, they're not losing. These big companies aren't losing any money most of the time. They're going to try to make sure that they get their money out, and kind of co-signing with them, you know, I mean, not to get too Kanye, but like Kanye's like, why is LeBron in the stadium pointing at the owner? Like, why isn't he the one up there, you know? And I think that's sort of like the thought process that is really kind of catching on. I think this is the time. This is the time for it when you have all this new action. Definitely a lot of people. I think someone requested to hop up on stage, but there's, you know, in the audience right now, we have a lot of people in the music industry. I see a lot of people with various experience. I mean, Ricardo, if you wouldn't mind, kind of, I know creators on YouTube. I know the pay rate is not bad. Do you feel like compensation is the first step to sort of Web3, or the first piece of value that we're going to see from Web3?
That's an interesting question. I don't know that compensation is necessarily like the first piece of value, but I think it's going to always be an important piece, right? Because in general, with creators, and if we talk about music specifically, right? Like with the rise of digital, what you saw is like that middle class of creators, of musicians, that kind of got wiped away in many ways, right? Like it was harder for them to establish and like have a living, make a living for themselves. Now, when I think about YouTube in general, like if you look at any of the comparisons, like the TikToks of the world, like all the other platforms, like we actually do a better job at like making sure that we're compensating our creators that like put stuff on the platform. And I hope and truly believe that that's going to continue to be the case. But when it comes to Web3, like I think it's important to think about compensation. The biggest piece for me is like community and community engagement, right? Like because a lot of the previous iterations, Web2, a lot of other iterations of like where things are going, I don't think that you had the ability to engage with the community in the way that you do with like some of these Web3 applications. And the other thing is like, not only is it engagement, but like it's like, as being a part of the community, you have a chance to like own as well, right? Like, and have a chance to like see the upside of being a part of the community or something that you believe in. That's very much different than like what I've seen in previous iterations. So like, I'm excited to see the compensation side. I'm excited to see the revenue and the wealth generation for like the common man side. But I think it starts and it ends with like being an active part of a community and really like driving and creating and capturing value really for a community.
Yeah. You know, the thing, Ricardo, is I think I'm so concerned about us slipping into the same models, right? So, you know, what is control, the power that control gets you? Now, even think about this chat. We got 26,000 followers on Vibranium Gold. Do you know how many, when I send a post about the Vibranium Live, you know how many people get it? Get the post? These are people we built, we paid for, we did promotions. Like 500 people out of 26,000 get it.
They want you to pay every time.
So you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the same people trying to build Web 3.0, the same ones that built everything else, and they're going to want the control and want the power.
I firmly believe that.
Yeah, so that's why we have to usurp this. You know, like the thing is that everything is neutral. Technology, what I love about it, it comes into the game neutral, and then it gets, then it gets then it gets corrupted by by those that generally corrupt. And honestly, it's economics, right? So if you're willing to do it, here's the thing, think about what I was willing to do, or we were willing to do as Vibranium. We're willing to build a community of 27,000 people so we can reach 500 of them. Okay, so shame on me.
That's
Shame on me. But think about it, we're all doing it.
Yeah.
We're all doing it. These are our communities. They don't know these people. We know them. We brought them to the table. But Web 3.0, because this model works, right? Web 3.0 is like, oh, we're community and this, and it's decentralized. Here's the thing. Share the profits, right? Like, it's not hard to do. You know why people don't share the profits? Because they want them. They don't want you to have them because they want them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing about, and I know there's some new people in here, so I'll kind of give a breakdown of how our influence portion works. The key is to build it fair from the start and build it where the users are the full owner of the protocol. and essentially they are paying to use the protocol, and the protocol works the same every time. We can't change it. We can't like switch it up. But the way the Vfluence portion works is you have for any piece of content that you want to promote. So there's two sides to the equation. There's a promoter and then there's the influencer. If I want to promote content, I know if I put 10 Vibranium tokens as a bounty for this piece, that will be distributed amongst the people who share it, and they'll be incentivized to share based on the value of that token. I might have to pay more if I want to get more people to share it. That's how it works for me as the promoter of the content. Now, if I'm someone who makes great content and I drive a lot of people to my videos, my music, I can use Vibranium Vfluence to get a unique link that will earn me tokens based on how many clicks I send to that. So it's really simple. It's completely neutral, and that won't change no matter what happens. So the only thing that matters is how many eyeballs, how much attention are you able to bring. And because it's a network where everyone benefits when the token has value, it'll be self-policing, because I don't want someone who's bringing a bunch of, bunk attention to the token, driving the value down of the token. So as if we all own the same thing, we're all going to be invested in its quality. And that's the difference right now with Instagram, all social media. Like, I don't care if Facebook's feed is good or not. I don't so I'm not contributing to it with that mindset. It's totally different. So with Web3, you can build things that are naturally cooperative. And, if you, there's people who are still scamming, but if you kind of do your research, you can normally tell what the scams are, because you won't be able to explain why it's worth what it is. Someone will tell you this is going to be 3,000 times more valuable tomorrow, and then you'll say why, and they won't be able to tell you. So it's like, it's about building things right from the start. Yeah, this is, Ricardo, someone in the chat wanted to kind of get a quick reintroduction of you, because I think more people have rolled in. If you don't mind kind of saying just a quick 3-stop journey, how you got here.
Yeah, for sure. How I got here. We also have to give a shout out to someone who just joined the group, Jonathan Moore, the legend himself, the man, the myth, the legend. He's one of the reasons why all of us are actually connected. He's the best man at my wedding, so like he's a very close friend of mine. But a quick 2-minute spiel. I come from a music and entertainment background. I started off in management, working with some musicians who had like a tech savvy focus, folks like Childish Gambino, folks like will.i.am. From there, I transitioned to a media and entertainment, sports media and entertainment company, helping them with their business development practice, before I ended up at MIT for my MBA. At MIT, like, I saw how much people were starting to get interested into this like Web3 space, primarily through cryptos and trading cryptos. But I didn't really get involved as much because, I was one of those not pessimistic people, but kind of like scared to take that risk. But one space that I've always been bullish on is like the intersection of technology and culture and entertainment. And so I parlayed that experience at MIT to get a job at Google, working with their global ads partnerships group. And then from there, I pivoted over to YouTube to get back involved with entertainment. And so right now I sit, I think, at the epicenter of everything that people are saying around the creator economy, working directly with top creators and helping them build their brand, helping to ensure that they generate and continue to generate revenue as things start to shift from Web 2 to Web 3 as well.
Ricardo, do you know Tuma Basa?
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, Tuma and I were together when we launched the Revolt cable channel.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very intelligent.
Yeah. Excellent, brother. We got a couple of new people that joined the chat here. Maya Luna Laughs. She was featured a couple of weeks ago. We got one of our young stars, Jeremiah Holder, holding down for the high school intelligent future technologist. Yeah, let's keep it going, RJ, and definitely RJ. I don't even know how to get off. So just kick me off whenever you. I'm gonna stay on. I'm gonna stay and listen. But if you want to bring somebody else up.
All right, yeah. I see we got Mari. Me and Mari, we always get into it. I don't know if I'll send him an invite, see if he wants to get up. But Ricardo, real quick.
Yep.
Can you tell me about what it was like because now that Donald Glover is who he is, I just finished Atlanta. What was it like back then? Because I feel like people like him who kind of who always have the internet in their
Yeah.
art are so important. Like, what were some of those early stories? I mean, I
Dude.
guess you were with him around camp, right?
Yeah, so we started working with him when he was doing like the camp tour. And then we continued to work with him all the way through the launch of Because the Internet, right? And the a few things that I know about Donald, just like literally sitting at his house and like staying the night and just like watching how he thinks through things and collaborates with people is just that, right? Like he is always open to collaboration, and because he kind of played in so many spaces early on, right? Like he started off with his own like sketch comedy, and then he did writing, and then he did music on his own. Like he's very, very smart and intelligent, and very, he pays a lot of attention to the details, which I think is super important in all this space. But like he's open to keeping people around him that aren't just going to be yes men, right? Like he's open to like collaborating with unique individuals, and also like keeping trusted individuals around him that'll push him to like continuously make better art. And finally, like he's like literally one of the hardest working people that I know.
Hmm.
The other piece about that, RJ, like that I found really, really interesting about him is like I always found that creators like wanted to work at like midnight to like 5 a.m. And kudos to you if like that's how you operate. Donald was a person that treated it like a job. Like he would wake up at like 8, you know what I mean, eat his breakfast, and then from 9 to whenever, like he was actively like working. People were coming by the house to like collaborate on whether it was a script or whether it was like music. And so he treated it very much like a job. And I've always like valued and appreciated that. And when I was it was before I turned 25. The one parting thing that I always remember, I asked him like, hey, you know, what do you know now that you wish you knew at 25? And his answer, I used to ask a lot of people this. His answer was really telling and interesting. But he said like, you know how to play the game, know how to play the game, and just play it to win. And so that's always something that's like been on the back of my mind. Like, hey, like all of this stuff is like important, but you have to understand how the game is played. You have to understand like what really matters, what really drives success. And if you can understand those things, then you can kind of run. You can play and move accordingly to make sure that you're continuing to create and capture value for yourself and for others as well.
That's big. And I'm gonna let Mari give a quick intro, even though he's
I,
our longest running guest.
I'm
I
gonna
know.
I'm gonna
Oh,
jump
you're
so
out.
to give him space. But hey,
Okay.
this was a pleasure, man. Super excited to stay involved. And if anyone needs anything or wants to reach out, y'all can follow me on here. Or RJ can put you guys in touch. Derek, it was a pleasure seeing you.
Yes, good seeing you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
appreciate you for hopping on.
All right, guys.
Night. So yeah, well, I kind of wanted to just follow up with that because I think it's interesting that you have a group of people who embraced the internet and technology and saw that as a way to win, and you kind of look at them now and they're kind of still relevant in some ways. It's all about evolution. It's all about being open to new things. Mari, are you in the studio right now?
Now, studio plans fell through, so I ended up doing a little bit more coding.
All right, that's how it should be. That's incredible. That's incredible. I think one of the things like that is great is like if you work in music or if you do anything creative nowadays, you are basically adept at using a computer and you can like turn that into so many other skills. So that's important. Yeah, so we've been having a good convo. I think you've been here for most of it, maybe. But yeah, was there anything that you kind of wanted to respond to, maybe that you heard so far?
Yeah,
Anything else?
real quick, Mari, not to interrupt you, but we got another legend in the building. Got Jeff Burroughs, general manager at Bad Boy during the heyday. Most recently, head of marketing at Def Jam, and currently just jumped into his own crypto venture as well. So wanted to shout him out. Jeff, if you want to come up and say hello to the people, just let us know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the names that have been coming through are kind of major. It's pretty crazy.
Spread the vibes.
Pretty crazy. Yeah. So yeah, anything that you wanted to to respond to. There was definitely some a lot of things that we talked about.
Yeah, I think D. Ferg says some great things about just value retention within the community. Just being able to hold that value, that currency, like amongst our people, because it only takes a few concentrated number of folks to really get a movement going, and to just stay genuine to that plan and really keep our feet to the ground and ears to the streets, and making sure that we're capturing that value of our culture. A lot of things y'all were talking about is just so true. It's about how our culture radiates beyond what it gets commodified for, the price that gets paid. And so being able to keep that amongst ourselves and constantly invest in it and constantly grow it, and to impact just the different pillars of our ecosystem, through commerce, through our creations, through our marketing, whether that's, guerrilla marketing, word of mouth, or, using the Vfluence protocol. I think there are just so many ways for to grow and retain our cultural capital, and to grow that into something that's really something that's really tangible in our communities.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how, I think one of the things I read somewhere is just like, we're a young culture. It's not like, if you look at the history of the world, you don't really have new groups of people coming together. It's just like everyone's been around for thousands of years, but because of the way history transpired, you have a new thing. So we're early, and like it's about identifying the value. I think it's really, yeah, it's almost like kind of like having a superpower, but everyone else can see it but you. So it's like, it's kind of like that. That's how I kind of feel about the culture, because like just even when you said commerce, it made me just think about what we buy. It that creates ripples. Like, you could go in a store, buy something, and you don't know that there's someone watching you buy it, and they're gonna feel better about buying it right after that, or they're gonna go buy it for their kid because they saw you buy it, and that parent's like, oh, that must be the cool one to get. Like, so that's it's crazy. It goes deep. So I think like there are people who are starting to realize like, oh, okay, so now I should kind of move like that, and like, well, what do I want to do? And I think Earn Your Leisure is such a great example of that, because they were like, we're going to talk about financial literacy. We're going to name it Earn Your Leisure, and that's going to resonate with people. And that is like, that's an example. They really created a movement out of financial literacy. You can't really pick a more boring thing, but like they have like concerts, basically. Like, they're superstars. And
Yeah.
it's incredible. So there's like, I think that's how we should think about what we're building. Is like, if you have, they started small, and that's the thing that's incredible. They started completely, just who they were. So it's, yeah, there's so much stuff like that. Yeah. So if anyone in the chat is also kind of interested in just getting involved or helping, definitely, we've had a few people reach out. Definitely reach out either through Instagram or Discord, because that's who we're looking for. And if you just want to get on stage too. Oh, we got one request. Oh, here we go. Let's get Jeff Burroughs up here. It's crazy because this is these are people whose names I've heard for so long in my life. Yo, what's up?
Yeah, can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not driving. Hopefully you're in the back seat.
No, I pulled over because I don't want to wreck. How you brothers doing?
Good. Honored to have you.
Oh, absolutely. I do whatever Derek says. So happy to be here.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Give them a little bit about your background, obviously.
Oh, I'm a veteran music executive of over 20, 25 years. As Derek mentioned, you can hear me okay?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah,
As
I can hear
Derek
you good.
mentioned, everything from the Fugees and Usher, TLC, on to years at Bad Boy, the first family at Bad Boy for about 7 years running with Puff and Derek and the whole crew. On to the X Factor, where I was head of commercial for Simon Cowell's business, and my own record company, my own label, where we put out A. Marie, managed a bunch of artists like Tribe Called Quest, and most recently the head of marketing and brand partnerships at Def Jam, putting out the last Kanye records and Justin Bieber records and Janae Aiko records, and most recently pivoted more into entertainment technology, as Derek was mentioning, crypto, NFTs, utilization of AI in different music products. So excited to be with y'all.
That's awesome. So much to dive in there. I guess my first question, I'll work backwards in time. So I'll start modern. That AI and music thing is interesting. And I think I don't know, personally, it's scary a little bit because I don't want to like replace talented musicians. But do you think there's anything to worry about? I heard Jay-Z try to sue some company that used his voice in an AI thing. Is it exciting, or should we be scared if we make music?
Well, there's no reason to be scared because the shit's coming anyway. So you might as well just buck up. The one thing I think we've learned, for those of us who were able to survive, tremendous changes in the music business based on technology, is that technology is always going to win. And there's really the opportunity for young Black executives to grasp that as game changers and disruptors. It's necessary. So I don't believe that technology will ever take the place of art. I think it can make processes inside a business smarter. In this particular instance, there's a label called Snafu out of Stockholm that's utilizing AI to scrub social, scrub streaming, scrub YouTube and sentiment to find trends and artists that are on the verge of breaking. So, in a marketplace that's seeing, upwards of 80 or 90,000 new songs every week to streaming, for people like me that are interested in finding the most talented artists, utilizing AI as part of your toolbox is something that's going to be necessary, especially as, we start to get into smart NFTs and, really democratizing music and, really preparing ourselves for what Web3 will be in this market.
Yeah, I love that. And Todd said you should own a piece of it so we can eat from it, and I think that is 100%. And there's nothing to be scared of yeah, exactly. If you're involved, and I think what you just said, I think there's something about Web3 that's perfect for AI because AI is not a person. So how do you own a piece of it? Like it feels like the connection is real close there. Wow, yeah, I don't want to go too deep on that because there's so much we could talk about. But I mean, I guess so. You were around when Napster happened, right? Like, I know a lot of people. I mean, I guess how do you kind of feel the music industry and entertainment and in general? How do you feel like things changed from that moment? Because I remember when everything changed, when I could just get a song on my computer for free. I'm wondering how that change happened because I feel like we're like about to turn a corner and hit something like that again. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna hit something in a good way. I think something's coming. So, what was that like for you from your perspective?
Oh well, yeah. Downloading was a freak out for the people who were accustomed to, traditional retail. So it's raining so crazy hard. Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
It's like the wildest downpour right now. That being said, that it was downloading shifted the entire business. It pretty much put a lot of companies out of business. Business shrunk by over 30%. I think that it made the ease of use for the customer that much better. We're now sitting in a space where you can have your entire music library on your computer, and now you can have all the music in the world in your phone. So, like I said, technology is going to drive these processes. What I'm clear about is, at that given time, the music business was completely flat-footed and tried to hold on to the past, and really it cost a lot. That was a big mistake. So I think that we should learn from our lessons and grasp where streaming has delivered the audience, and how can we improve our systems, and how can we improve customer experiences through smarter technology. Streaming works. The business is on having massive growth right now, and it'll continue to have massive growth as more and more people come onto streaming platforms. Me and Derek were talking not too long ago about the continent and what streaming is really going to be, and how far and how wide and how different the future is going to be on the continent. And so we're all excited about that. We have to make sure that we grasp our pieces of equity, and not just be talent honers and finders, but people who actually own the business itself.
Mm.
Yeah, one of the things before I joined Bad Boy, I was at BMG, and Strauss Zelnick, who was the head of BMG North America at the time, he basically got fired over the notion that he thought BMG should buy Napster. Like, he was on that campaign. Like, he was like, we need to all the way embrace this. In fact, we need to just acquire them, while everyone else was, trying to figure out how do we kill it. He was like, no, this is going to stay, so, we are definitely in that mode. And I see Jeff's old assistant on the checking list right now. I see Ron Gilliard. We got the whole band is back right now. All right,
Joy wasn't my assistant. Joy was actually my boss.
Yeah. My interview at Bad Boy was Jeff, Joy, a couple of interns, Edmund, and them running. Like, who am I talking to in here?
Yeah,
Who's interviewing?
Yeah, it was a little hood. It was a little hood.
A little bit more about CFO and your African continent music, and where you see that going.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that I'm so excited about what's happening in Africa, and the great brothers that are there. CFO is my man on the continent. I think that it's, like Derek, you were saying, it's just pure numbers, about how youth culture on the continent is going to dominate. We know that urban music dominates. We know that urban taste profiles dominate culture and lead culture, which leads to commerce and in every single vertical. So it's up to us, to once again be translators in between what's happening on the continent, what's happening in the U.S., and to make sure that we see it as one Black music as opposed to differences. Let's keep all our stuff together.
Yeah, great. That was great.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I was thinking, man. I mean, like once Africa gets fully online, I don't know what the percentage is. It's not 50% online right now. But once that happens, like we can't even really imagine what a more connected world would look like, because it feels like everything's connected already. It feels like everyone in the world is on the internet, but we're not even all the way there yet. So I can't imagine what that's going to do, because every person changes the algorithm, changes what's popular, and it's like, as more and more people get online, as you increase the speed of things, it's like kind of see where culture is. Like, you listen to music now, I mean, like, a pop star is a rapper now, which is crazy to think about. Like, there's like there's like 2 pop stars who aren't also rappers, and I don't know. I think that's connected to the growth of technology as things are spreading. So it's really exciting.
Said RJ, which I thought was really important, you and Mari last time, was that, at the end of the day, hip hop really came about because of a creative use of technology, right? We just decided that we could use these turntables and microphones in a different way to put together an incredible, new sound. So even though you have 50% more to get online, the 50% that are online, like this is their lifeblood. Imagine if, growing up in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, that as resourceful as all of our, urban parents and all of them were, if they had the internet. I mean, we would have the movement would have accelerated by 50 years because we would have jumped on there, and it's just a way out. Like the biggest thing I'm seeing from our African contingents when I talk about Vibranium, they're just like, plug me in. Like I'm creative, I make stuff, I'm a hustler, I'm an entrepreneur. I know your culture because I follow it. Just plug me in. And now they got a way to get the plug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I mean, and the thing is, like, also in terms of just when it comes to income, like I remember I was talking to someone, I forget his name, on the Telegram, but he was telling me about, just the promotion business and what he does online and how he makes money online. And if you're making US dollars, and that's a lot. And I think with Vibranium, we're trying to create a currency that can travel seamlessly between both continents. So yeah, we do need a trip. That's true. We need to record our next session from somewhere a lot sunnier. But yeah, it's crazy what once you connect things through currency, like what can happen. And you could have a business partner who doesn't even speak your language. It could be something. Yeah.
Definitely currency, and add in, platforms. What way can we make sure that communication between us over here and our folks over in Africa is just seamless, so that these moves are being made, because a lot of them are also very involved in technology, developers, and so when you have creatives and developers and tech folks on both sides of the continent putting these things together, and not to mention artists, Afrobeat artists, hip hop artists, bringing that together, just the type of culture that can splinter from that and bubble up. And what platform will enable that to seamlessly happen? And what do we start with? What's the entry point? Is it the technology? Is it the currency? Is it the music? Yeah, just a couple thoughts.
Yeah, I always say, do what you do. The distribution platforms and channels will change, and delivery methods will change. Do what you do what you're excited about doing, and be the best at it. And the technology and everything else like that, it will be there to support you. Utilize it. Don't be afraid of it. I remember one day, Clive Davis, when I worked with Clive, we were having a debate about, downloading or whatever it was. He was like, I was here for LPs and I was here for 8 tracks, and then it was cassettes, and then it was CDs, and now it's downloading. Just keep making hot art, and no matter how it gets distributed, don't worry about that part. Do what you're great at, and find other people that are great at what they're doing. Make teams, make groups globally. Derek was mentioning my NFT project, the Krillist, earlier. Now, this is a company that, the management, 2 people are in New Zealand, 1 person's in Bali, a couple of people are nomadic. There's people in Chicago, there's people in Austin and Houston, a couple of us are here in New York, Miami. We are geography, we are all over the place. However, we come, we collect, we talk through our problems, we figure out our business, and we get things done. So the people that you need to partner with can be anywhere now. We have ways to consistently be in contact and in communication, whether that's WhatsApp or Instagram Live or the Discord channels, or, however you want to communicate. There's thousands of ways, and we just have to become masters of them and be the leaders that we are in these spaces, and to make sure you'll be able to find your community easier now than ever. So find your people, build your community, spread your messages, sell what you need to sell, and keep your hustle on.
Yeah, I think the thing that we have to the thing that we are trying to defend against is when we feel like we need another person's platform to build our community or to own our community. I think what we're finally getting to the point is where you can own your friends list, own your network, own your community. It's what we were just talking about before. Like if you have 20,000 followers on Facebook or Instagram, your posts, they will explicitly tell you this is not reaching all those people until you pay us more. So what we're trying to do is keep, because that lets the platforms put their finger on the scale and, change where sort of maybe, people might naturally gather. And I think, these platforms want the communication to be hot. They want arguments. They want conflict. They want debate. They don't really like calm. There's no real business incentive for Facebook to have a bunch of small organized groups making progressive change and changing things. Like, so that's what I think we're going to see soon, is that we're going to build these things that are ours, and we don't have to worry about other people putting their finger on the scale, and then everyone can just focus on creating. Because we shouldn't separate the creatives from the people who are building the infrastructure. Like, let the creatives be a part of that. Let the artists own a piece of that.
You're absolutely right. And actually, that's a plug in the Krillist all day. But that's the idea of this gated community of Web3 developers and Web3 builders and investors, actually marrying them with the finest creators and builders in the world, because Web3 is not going to build itself in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
They always reach us for our culture, but let us build it together. And so we're working on projects, whether that be a wellness or sustainability or music or tech, whatever it is, but marrying these two groups of people together to build it together. And that's what's going to be the new Instagram. Web3 is ready to give the power back to the artists and the users, and not pimp us for advertising dollars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, I kind of told this story on the first one, but I just remember how every new platform, when I was doing music, it affected what I was able to do. So when Twitter first came out, it felt very differently, and I felt like all my followers were my followers. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing like someone I didn't follow in my feed, and I'm like, why am I seeing that? And then you start to realize, like, oh, this isn't a one-to-one thing. And then now my feed is like half people I don't follow. It's just stuff that they think they're gonna get, that's gonna keep me scrolling. So, like, I think, these platforms are kind of the root of where the money's made, and also like where the value's extracted. But for our network, what we're building is it's a direct monetization. So the value that you bring, the attention you bring, the eyeballs, the traffic, that is what you're rewarded based on how it's valued. So the value of our token, of our economics, is based on what is the value of reaching this influential group of people. If this group of people who, when they say something, do something, it matters. What is that value? And it doesn't. You don't have to fake it. There's not a really complicated algorithm there. It's just how does that work? And so it's exciting. You said, how about monetization in the chat? Yeah, I mean, that's the key. We want to build with the right monetization from the start, instead of leaving it up to chance and kind of running the Amazon game where you don't make money for 20 years. Like, just build it right from the start, so you don't have to
talk a little bit about
play the game.
The actual technology that you built, really going back 4 years ago, that allows for this Vfluence monetization network that we built. Okay. Appreciate you,
Hey,
man.
I got to bounce, but thanks for having me.
Oh,
Drive safe.
thank you.
Peace, peace.
This is great. This is gonna be. We're gonna have some good highlights from this one. I feel like the highlights are. There's a lot of highlight. The highlight reel from this is strong. So for Vfluence, the original idea was how do you create the most simple unit of what you can own, and the way it works is a smart contract. When you click that you want to start sharing a bounty, or you want to start sharing a link, smart contract gives you a unique ID that's tied to your wallet and that link that's generated. So now anytime that specific link gets a click, you are credited with one click, and then that in turn will determine the percentage of the bounty you get at the end of that link's target run. So let's say I have a link and I want it to reach 1,000 people, and I put 40 Vibranium tokens on it. And then then someone shares it. They share it to 500 people. Click the link. That person would get I don't know why I chose such strange numbers. That person would get 20 tokens at the end of it. And so it's a very simple tracking mechanism that uses the blockchain just to track the traffic you're bringing. So that can be audited too. So that's one of the things that right now this is gonna blow up. This is gonna blow up in like 10 years, not 10 years. I'd say 5 years. You're gonna start seeing how much ad traffic is inflated online, and how many ads are fake, and how many YouTube views are getting streamed on some Russian website 100 times. And what's gonna happen is like all these companies that build their value on ads, they're gonna take a hit. So by tracking it on the blockchain, I can audit it and I can see, okay, this guy's getting a lot of weird traffic from here. And then our network is self-reporting, so you can report and challenge different people's accounts. But it's real simple. It's just tracking. It gives you a link and it tracks the traffic that you bring to that link.
Great. I see a few more legends have joined us. I don't know if she's still here, but we had the great Candy Shan, another Bad Boy alumni, come on board. And I see Erica Bullock, documentary producer for Time Studio, jumped on. Yeah, we should see if we can pull Erica up. Is she still there? Erica, you still there? Yeah.
See, what about Shawn Prez?
Shawn up. Let's see Shawn up here. I don't.
But yeah, I mean, this has been we've been running for over an hour and a half.
Is it? Do I have to just? What do I have to do to get off?
I think you just close Instagram or click the X.
I'm gonna jump off the screen so you can get more beautiful faces on here, other than my.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, you can feel free to downgrade me if you want to get some more folks up.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to hop on, I mean, I think we do normally end these after an hour. This one's been an extra long because we had so many great guests. But yeah, I hope overall everyone feels like they learned a little bit more. They kind of know a little bit about what we're about. That's sort of the mission of these talks, is to kind of just spread the word. Yeah, and I think let everyone know the type of ideas we're trying to attract. Oh, here we go. Okay, we got Shawn. The Vibranium merch is not for sale. That was a limited print. Hey, what's up?
What up? Hold on 1 second. Let me put my earpiece in.
All right. Yeah, this is how it always goes. We're always winding down, then we get one more. We get a big guest. But
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't think this thing worked, but it is what it is. RJ, what up?
Yeah, can you hear me? You can hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
What's up? What's up? I mean, I think you were in this one, you were in the last couple. How have you been enjoying it? How you feeling about the mission?
I love it. I love it. You know why I love it most of all, because I think that there's so much confusion, and with the whole cryptocurrency market taking a beating, you guys are explaining it in a very simple language. This is not necessarily something that I am 100% familiar with, and I got one foot in, one foot out. Like, how much do I want to really get involved in this and invest just in a whole, take outside of Vibranium, just in crypto. And I think that there are a lot of people that still don't totally understand. They see things like real estate and even stock to a certain degree as safe. Crypto is still, for the average person, they're still trying to figure it out. And I love these conversations because I'm trying to learn and really understand the overarching mission of Vibranium while learning about crypto in general. So, I try to tune in as often as I
Yeah.
can.
That's awesome. That's really what we're trying to do is make it clear, like, there's so much smoke and mirrors out there, and if you feel like you don't understand it, they're probably trying to get something from you. They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes, or I think at the end of the day, it's about what can you build with this. And there's ways to make money for sure, but it's just also early. There's no sure things in crypto, but the sure thing is if we build what we want, then it will be. So it's not about the money you can make it just investing. It's like, well, what could you kind of help make? And I think that's sort of the thing. Like, yeah, there's just too much advice out there that's not sound. Like, we want everyone to feel the way you feel, like comfortable learning about it in a way that makes sense. Because yeah, it's not simple. It isn't actually that simple, but it's you know
Well, it's not simple at all, and there's so much, and I don't want to say it's disinformation. It's just depending on the source that you listen to. If you are not totally immersed in everything that's going on, you're confused. You don't know if this is something that's here to stay. You don't understand. Even I was listening to your conversation throughout this whole live, and really seeing the bigger picture of where this thing is going. I don't think a lot of laymen, a lot of average Joe people who are not all the way immersed into what's going on in this world understand that, number one, this is here to stay. This is not it's not a passing fad. It is not what we, I'm old enough to remember back in the what was it, the late 90s when or the early 2000s when the bubble burst with the internet, and people thought that, oh, it's going away. It's not, everybody, they lost their shirt in this thing. And as we could see, the internet was obviously not just here to stay, but it revolutionized the entire world. So as I'm listening to you guys, it is helping me to understand this is not a fad. And it is multi-layered. It's not just about, just like what you said, investing and treating it like the stock market. This is something that is multi-layered, that has tons of possibilities. And I don't know that anybody at the moment knows exactly where this is going to go. But if we don't know anything else, this is real and it's here to stay.
100%. I almost feel like the best advice, if someone were to be like, what's the best way to make money in crypto? I would say learn how to, write Solidity, learn how to code, learn how these things are built, because that's the only thing we know for sure is here to stay, is this whole framework. So yeah, the position that we're at is super early, and I think that's why we just have to stay in the game, because if we pull back now, then the Microsofts we just heard, like all these big companies, they got their bags ready to put it in. So if we back off now, because it's not clear, especially when the market's down. Because like I remember the crash in 2018, I was like, I don't even want to hear about crypto anymore. But it's like, you know, if I had backed off, I would have missed out on just the progress that's happened since then. So yeah, it's about, we just got to stay in the ring with this and start thinking about what do we want to build. Because yeah, back in 99, 2000, if someone had stuck with it, they could have been on Tidal first. You know, like Tidal could have been before Spotify. And
Right.
that's sort of like how we should think about it, because this is happening. There's so much money invested in it already this is gonna be something. All this stuff.
So what do you say? Let me ask you a question, both of you guys. What do you guys say to someone who is literally watching the news, and in the whole world, don't get me wrong, the whole world is upside down with supply chain issues. You know, if you were in the market, and I mean the stock market for the last 3 years, you did extremely well. Real estate now has bounced back with a vengeance. We're seeing it's not just the price of homes that are at all-time record highs in terms of the growth rate, but also the rents through the roof. For somebody who is just on the fence with crypto, like what do you guys say to them? What do you guys, how do you convince them that, number one, as we've been saying, this is real, but there is going to be so much opportunity here. Don't let this one, for lack of a better way to put it, this dip deter you from getting involved. Because and here's another question. And I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking because I'm thinking as I'm saying it. I don't. People don't realize that we're still at the early state of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still enough time to get in and find your lane in it.
Mm-hmm.
For lack of a better way to put it, and you can still make a difference. So from those two perspectives, number one, finding where you fit in crypto, don't be completely scared away by what has happened in the last 6 months or so, and this thing is just here to stay.
Yeah, those are some really good points, and I want to go back to this point you were talking about the late '90s, early 2000s, when the tech bubble burst. They thought the internet was a fad. They thought it was going to go away, and what ended up happening? Well, companies such as Facebook birthed. You have Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all
Amazon.
of these, Amazon, all of these companies that just really blew up because they stayed down. They kept their heads to the ground. They understood the utility behind the internet. It's not a fad. It's what can be done with it. It's how it can connect people. That's what it was really supposed to be about. How we can, the World Wide Web was how can we literally take or make the world a web that's all interconnected. But then it became so much about profit and commoditizing everything. And so now Web3 is like, I'm out to achieve. And when I say Web3, I mean crypto, NFTs, the concept of blockchain, just everything embodied in Web3. Now it's about how can I complete the mission that Web2 was out to set, as far as really making the web one connected entity, making the world one connected entity through the web. And so now with crypto being down and everything, it's hard to exclusively relate crypto only to what it's worth right now or what the cash is. You got to think about the utility. You got to think about the utility that Mark Zuckerberg, that Jack from Twitter, founder of Twitter, was thinking about when the internet and everything was going down. What Jeff Bezos was thinking when everything was down. Now we have the opportunity to think like them with all the information that we have to be like, okay, Web3, crypto, this stuff is down, but what is the utility behind it and how can it better my life in the future? And one thing I would definitely say is important for people, especially you mentioned like the rising cost of living, rents going up, stocks looking funny, real estate is going crazy. Upskill. You have to get your money up and you have to stack up on your cash. And the best way to upskill right now is to learn about technology. Like RJ said, learn about Solidity, learn a little bit about coding, learn something about IT. That's where all the money has been moving to and is where it's going to continue to move to. Learn about project management, product management. Everything right now is still based on these very central concepts of, you know, just building something, having the technology, having people who are coordinating these pieces. All technology is doing is like enabling things that we've always been doing and making it a lot more efficient. And what blockchain is going to do is exactly that. It's going to have that same utility of connecting people, getting, you know, projects and companies off the ground that's going to capture value. And now with the communities, we have the chance to capture that value and keep it within ours because we have access to technology that, and this is the blockchain technology that can record every transaction. And so through that, you can see if a project is legitimate, you can just see how things are flowing. So if you are in a technical mindset and you're understanding how these projects are being built out, how these different DAOs, which is like pretty much a Web3 organization, how it's operating and what it's offering, just having the technical literacy to understand that is going to put you so far ahead. You'll know where you want to put your money. You'll know what be the next Facebook because you'll understand what the utility is going to bring in the long term. And so that's why things like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, that's how they took off. They understood the utility of community. They know that if they put a couple $1,000 here, just with how passionate these people are about cryptocurrency, about NFTs, that in 5 years, this is going to skyrocket because people love the idea of belonging, being connected to a web. And that's what the World Wide Web does. It connects people. And so being able to have those exclusive webs, to be able to have a piece of technology or a digital artifact that says I belong to this community, that becomes so valuable in the long run. But when you can like have the technical literacy for that and also have the money to keep you afloat and keep your mind open to these different concepts, everything starts to fall in place for you years down the line. So it's all about long term. Like with stocks, long term. Put your money in, let it sit, buy and hold, long term. Real estate, it's a little high right now, interest rates a little high. Put your money in, long term, as long as you do your numbers right. Cryptocurrency, NFT, blockchain, find out what it is that the utility that you desire, put your money in. And by the way, this is not investment advice, but this is just concepts, right? It's the same thing. Find out what the utility is, build up the literacy for it, long term, see how things grow.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask? Go ahead, RJ. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I was just gonna just underline all that.
Oh, okay. I got to ask you guys a question. I'm sure that some other people might have the same questions. When we saw over the last few weeks how this whole crypto world just took a beating. I was talking to someone who was like, you know, Shawn, crypto versus the traditional stock market. The stock market is, you know, it's based on a business. There's always a valuation because there's something physical and there's something tangible there. If Apple should go out of, if Apple's stock should dip, you know, to zero tomorrow, they can always sell off the physical assets. There's going to be a value to the physicalness of the actual company. So you're never just going to completely lose all of your money. There's going to be something there. Explain to me in a way, because I'm sure somebody else is a novice like myself, a way in which any of us can feel safe knowing that this is not based on a physical company. It's not based on anything. So if the value drops for whatever reason, you can literally just be out in the cold. And then there is no waiting around until it comes back around because all your money's lost.
Yeah, I mean, Prez, just to underscore that, and I just want to comment on this quickly. We actually saw, and a lot of people don't know this particular cryptocurrency because it's not talked about much, but cryptocurrency that was basically backing a what do you call it? The
Stablecoin, that one?
Luna.
Yeah.
We saw from billion plus in valuation to zero. And the reason why is just fundamentally what you just said, Prez. It's like we're watching an experiment right in front of us, right? But we're not treating it like an experiment. And one of the things I think is really, again, I just want us to stop being fooled by the same tricks, because when there's experiments going on, they tend to come to our communities. And there's a bunch of people talking about how Bitcoin's going to change, the plight or change the economic landscape for African Americans, and it's going to narrow the wealth gap and this, that, and the other. And could be, if but it has to be more than just the existence of it. It would have to be something that we create around it that would make that happen. But at its fundamental core, if you and I, 10 years ago, Prez, just decided to create a technology and create create a unit of whatever we just want to call it Prez coin. We created Prez coin 10 years ago, and we create a whole system that says, you know what, this Prez coin, we can identify it uniquely. We have a system, a community system that validates that it's a real thing. And we then created this coin, and then basically everyone said, you know what? I want a piece of this coin. I want to trade in it. I want to buy it. And then years later, it's worth 100 billion, 200 billion, hundreds of billions of dollars. That's what it is. It has nothing else. Like the Prez coin would have not very little, there's some tech pieces to it, but very little difference in value to Bitcoin. It really, at the end of the day, can go to zero. Now, it doesn't go to zero because people believe in having an alternative asset that they can put their money in. So if you think about it, it benefits from people having a lot of money, right? So it's really such an ultimate example of capitalism, right? Because basically the price gets run up. So and let's be clear, we're talking about these markets are tanking. I bought Ethereum when it was $200. You know what I mean? Ethereum is going down now to like $1,800 or whatever. We bought some of this stuff when people bought Bitcoin when it was worth $1,000. You know what I mean?
If you bought Bitcoin 2 years ago, you're up 600%. So it's like, it's not really. It's like, for them, it's not a crash. Like,
but there is a reality around, and this is why you really got to know what you're buying. There's a reality around something like a Bitcoin where it can go to zero because it was made valuable because people agreed to make it valuable. The real incredible thing about currency, once it became unbacked, is that it's a belief system as much as it is a tangible asset. It's a belief system. So that's why when you put all these things together, a lot of the underpinnings of why Vibranium is really like our communities are ready for it. And I love it because if we believe in each other and we believe in our value and we believe we believe that we can create a system, this thing will be extremely valuable. Because like currency, it's really based on a belief system on how much do I believe the value. Now, what we're starting with, though, has tangible value, which is influence and culture building and creativity and unique value add that our community brings. So we have that to start for us. But honestly, Bitcoin didn't have anything to start with it. Some of the other coins, you know, have more tangibility. But my last thing I'll say is, and I'm sorry I went on so long with this. Last thing I'll say on this is, like, when we talk about crypto as a whole, it's like talking about music as a whole. We can't talk about RCA Nashville the same way we're going to talk about Def Jam, or like, these are all so different that of the thousands of cryptocurrencies, you know, that we're lumping into one thing, they don't all operate the same. So it's not really a fair commentary to lump them all together. The biggest ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum, now have proven to pretty much follow the market. When people have a lot of money to invest, they drive the prices up. When people don't, they get out and go you know, they fly to safety.
I just want to just go back and I want to sort of like illustrate that currency being trust and belief thing, because really that's where it came from. So you imagine you go to your barber and you get a haircut and you realize you don't have any money on you, and you say, "Oh, I'll get you next time," and you also, let's say you work at a garage. Let's say he comes by your garage. He's like, "Oh, can you fix this thing on my car?" And it's like, "All right, bet," because I already owed you the money for the haircut. That's currency. That's belief. So at the core, you know, the dollar is doing that, but we're making a digital version of that. And I think they are completely intangible, but Bitcoin, I will say, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. If someone could hack it, that would have been hacked so fast, because the value you could get from hacking it is so high. So there is starting to be a little bit of value, which is still belief, which is this thing has survived so long. I don't believe that it'll die tomorrow. So that's a part of it. But you know, I think when it comes to where you want to put your money, you can follow money, you can follow other people's money, or you can invest in value. And I think the internet it started off as a lot of people just following money. And there's a famous like pets.com, and every .com was raising millions of dollars just because they had a .com in their name. And then eventually you got real value. You got Amazon, which figured out we could use all the information from people buying things to actually create a better service. So you will get eventual value. We're super early, but we're really also rewriting what currency is, because we're so connected now. So it's the connection, and with Vibranium, the value is, how much do I value your attention? Like, how much do I value, like, if I sent a song to Mari, there's a value for his sort of cosign on that song. And that's still belief, that's trust, but we're just building a interactive, quantifiable layer to that. So
yeah, real quick, a couple of big important shout outs. We got Mel Smith, promotion extraordinaire, on the line. Cash money all day. We got who else did I see jumped in here? We got, well, Erica, I put a nice comment in. I wanted y'all to hear. Oh, we got Chef Boy OG, Oliver Gray, in the house as well, one of RJ's classmates. So the list keeps growing. But, you know, yeah, Erica put a comment in there, which is like, you know, our currency is our belief in ourselves. And at the end of the day, it is more tangible than that. I want to be clear that the value we're building Vibranium on is really the value that's been taken advantage, that we bring to the table all day, every day. You know what I mean? And again, the value that we have accepted the 10% for when we should have retained 90% for it. So
when you say the value, you're speaking about our community. Am I correct?
I'm talking about, so the core. So if you think about, just quickly, Prez, we're building, we're kind of replicating an economy, and there's three pieces of it. Commerce is easy, right? We don't talk about it that much, but that's huge. Imagine if you built, like, the first thing you built on the web, when the web first got developed, was essentially a black Amazon that was bi-coastal. So that's the first thing we're building: bi-coastal transactions, everything. We're going to be able to transact in the same currency, bi-coastal. We're going to be able to buy Jordans. We're going to be able to buy fine linens and fabrics from Africa. We're going to be able to buy services, goods, services, music, content. So we're building that as one of the key pillars. Second pillar is our stimulus pillar, which is loans and grants. We as a community are going to decide who gets more money to build their communities and to build their business ventures. The third piece is really what I call our natural resource. And it's like a country, right? So if a country has mines of diamonds, or a country has, natural resources that are, whatever, cocoa or other natural resources, our natural resources influence and community building, and thought leadership and innovation. And how does that manifest itself? So the end of the day, there's never been a true marketplace that allows us to understand the true value of influence. So what does it mean when Shawn Prez is talking about a movie, or when Mari, likes a new song and he sends it to his group of friends? He's like, yo, you got to hear this new song. What is that? What is the value of the economics of that song or that movie or that next new product? And how do you put a value on it? And how do you put a currency on it? So the Vibranium currency is about buying and paying for that influence and allowing people access to the influence at our price, and with us retaining the ownership.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think one thing also that is pretty wild is like, money is information in a way. So like credit is information, right? And like, people always talk about, oh, Jeff Bezos doesn't actually have $1 billion. It's not liquid, but he has all the credit you could ever want, so he could kind of buy whatever he needs. And if you think about it, that's information. So I think one of the things why I think we just need to really see this for what it could be is we have, been kept out of the information ecosystem in a way, like that, like there are people who aren't valued just because the information isn't registered in the system as a whole. So that's credit, like talk about having credit, that's information. That's they keep the track of that to see what you could be trusted with. But maybe the accounting has been bad. So we're trying to build something new. Like, let's try a different record that is like aligned with what we value and think will be valued for, a whole community. And, that was just one thing I just wanted to throw in there. But I think this is why new technology shouldn't be scary. It should really open up the door for you to think about new systems and new ways things could be. Because it's exciting if we make this work. And then one thing also about the how you were saying just the markets are crazy right now. There was a lot of extra money in the system. So I think the last 2 years were a little weird, a little hard to kind of tell what was real. But if you just zoom out a little bit, you can kind of tell what's real. There were things that existed before 2 years ago that still exist now. There was a whole bunch of things that were born last year that don't exist anymore. So I think it's about zooming out, just to go back to that original question.
You said something earlier that I didn't know, and I guess that's why these lives that y'all are doing are so important. Because you said, what was it? Bitcoin is up 600%. If you buy into barbershop talk and all that comes across your day to day, you would think Bitcoin is 6%. It's up 6% at tops. Like, I was astounded just now, and you're like, whoa, that's not a loss. It's still up over 600%, and that's things that people just don't realize.
Yeah, no, the drops are scary. I mean, the first, like in 2017, there was a major drop, and
Yep.
I thought it was never going to come back. But now I look at everything I sold back then, I'm like, it's crazy. But like, you got to have a longer term view with all technology. And so I mean, the headlines are always anti-crypto. That's something like, if the news can write a bad story about crypto, they're going to do it just because it's like people want to read that. So that's another thing that makes it scarier than it actually is, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
1000%. And news and information that influences prices. And all the
Mhm.
while they're, pitching this story of crypto being down and whatnot. And here you have these huge companies like Microsoft and, Google making these divisions for crypto, for
Yeah,
Web3. I mean, they understand, and the people involved behind the scenes of that, they understand that the deflation of a price of something that's really valuable is their win. It's their up. And so it only benefits them for bad news to keep getting pushed out there so that they can collectively, get in on the value, capture the value while everything is down. It's the same thing they do with our black communities. They say our communities are worth nothing, and they drive our values down to shit. And what ends up happening, our communities end up getting turned around, and next thing you know, what was dirt cheap for a couple tens of $1,000s or something, is now up to about 200, 300, working its way up into the millions, probably 10, 15 years later, because they're just kind of creating the movements and the waves with the news that they're putting out. And they're able to pick up on it when it's dirt cheap because they put the word out to dictate what the markets are doing. And voila, what happens? We
yep.
kind
I
of
mean,
we
Well
kind of
said.
pull out of it, So
that's that is a bar. You definitely you want to watch where like the big money's moving, and just know that when it moves in, it's not leaving until it gets its return. And if it sees it can run it up, it's gonna crash it first and then run it up. Like, because right now, if imagine if Apple announced that they're gonna have a wallet in their iPhone, that crypto shoots up like crazy. But like, they don't want to announce that when the market's already hot, or something like that. So all these big moves, all these movers, Facebook, Meta, they're trying to control it before it runs up. So that is the part where it's a little bit like the people versus, it's like the people against the world, because it's like the GameStop thing. Like, if we don't sell, then they gotta just, I guess, they gotta get it from us at whatever price we say. So that's the thing about crypto that is special, is because there's not a Bitcoin company. There's not. I mean, there is an Ethereum Foundation, but there's no one in control over who owns it. So anyone can own it. There's not. I mean, and there someday will be regulation, but there isn't regulation right now. So you can own crypto right now, and if you want to have a little piece in what is kind of like a big fight, just to even be interested in it, like, put $5 in just so it has your interest, and then you're gonna watch it. Oh, but my $5 is now $10, and that is like just to get you thinking. I wouldn't even say as a way to make money, but just like as a way to kind of think about it, and then think about what would I do differently next time, or like, why did this happen? I think that's the best advice that I could give for anyone who wants to get into this.
and my piece of, not investment advice, but my piece, my little gem is, only invest what you can afford to lose.
Yep.
Um, because if it's one thing you don't want to do, is you don't want to be an emotional investor. Like, some of my investments, they down, but you know what? I'm chilling because
Mhm.
I'm able to keep the cash flow coming in, and I don't want to lock that loss by trying to take that money out because it's down a little bit. But I said from the start, when I put that money in, I'm only gonna put in what I can feel fine. Like, if it goes to zero, I still be good because I know I still got money coming in. So that's the number one key. Take the emotion out of it. Only put in what you can afford to lose, and just let it sit, let it rock, and go on about your day, and keep thinking of ways to make money. Keep, looking at different ways of, the utility on the blockchain, seeking out the different communities that want to, that sit well with you. And so this is what I love about Vibranium. This is a whole ecosystem that, it's a whole ecosystem that recycles wealth and regenerates wealth. And so being able to be in something, that has a long-term utility, I don't need to worry about, moving out of the system or anything. it's like, look, this is something I can park my, park my money in, and I'll be good. Logically, I know what this is about. I'm knowing the belief system, and like you say, currency, it's a belief system. It's an energy. It's motion.
It is.
Big.
It's literally energy, and it's like if you're bought in, I want, and this is why the NFT community is so strong, is because the Bored Ape people, they want all the other Bored Ape people to win. That's the value. It's not about the picture itself. It's just that, like, oh, this one guy, oh, he owned the second Bored Ape, and now he's making a TV show. I want to support that because I just want, because this community I'm part of, I want this to be a very high value community. So with currency, it's the same thing. So anyone who's on the Vibranium network, you're gonna be backed by everyone else, because that's where the energy is. We all connected through the one currency. So it's, it's exciting, and I really just hope that, if you haven't, go to vibranium.network, sign up, read the black paper, put your email in there. Also, we have a YouTube channel that's just launched. It's super duper. I think there's like 2 videos up there, but we'll start posting things there. But yeah, just get locked in, because we're starting slow, but we're trying to grow it regularly by kind of having these convos and just getting people to feel comfortable in this space. Like, it's about the confidence to kind of to build something. Yeah.
I think that's what the net boils down to is building people's confidence in this space. And the more you guys have these lives, and the more you speak in plain English, I think that's what's ultimately going to help people, number one, understand, but feel confident about saying, you know what, Mari, I love what you just said, by the way. And that should apply to any place you invest. But, let me park my money in a place, and as long as I'm comfortable with losing it, like if I can, and even if that's $5,
Mm-hmm.
to your point, Jay, like, I'll just let it sit and let it get me thinking and see how this thing works. And then lastly, before I jump, you just mentioned the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys pin it every time that you do the live, so that we can go over there and subscribe, because the more we learn, the more comfortable we're going to be.
100%. 100%. I appreciate you jumping on, and it's great to kind of hear the perspective of someone who's
Yes.
been on a couple of these, because I mean, I think Mari and I are just sharing our own excitement really on these calls, and how we feel about it, and just kind of hoping that it catches on, because this could transform a lot of things. And definitely check out the YouTube Vibranium Network on YouTube. You'll see the logo.
Is that what it is, Vibranium Network?
Yeah, on YouTube. Yep.
I'll go over there and subscribe.
And I'll pin it. We'll add it to the bio on the Instagram.
Yeah, please.
Not already there. Yeah.
All right, fellas.
All right. Peace.
Appreciate
Peace.
you. All right, Prez.
I mean, these convos are crazy, because, like, we're talking about the value of a small network.
Yeah.
If you were to like put a valuation on this small network, on these, just the people who come through these rooms, we had TikTok Taj. I don't know if you follow him, but he's got a million TikTok followers. He just did a video with Raven Simone. Like, the traffic through these rooms and these talks is crazy. It's
amazing.
So it makes me really excited for what happens when we're all on the same page. And there's a part of it that's like, I'm glad that this isn't, that we can start with this kind of, this is exclusive right now.
It's the close connection with the I feel that.
Yeah.
It's all about education,
Yeah.
I really believe in, when it comes to money, and like trying to get people's mind right. I really believe in just being holistic with the approach, just understanding the value of money and what it plays, the role that it plays in our lives in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
and also the role that other humans play in our lives and human connection. I know, like for me, I just think about how quickly I can spend $10 a day on food or something like that. And there was a point and I'm like, you know what if I'm putting this $10 a day in the crypto? And now it's like, what if I'm putting this $10 a day into a project that I
Mm-hmm.
really trust and believe in? Because I'm just so easy to take my hard earned money. And I think this is, I can speak for a lot of people. So easy to take our hard earned money and just like have it go somewhere else, just like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
No, I
it's
mean it's almost like kind of put your money where your mouth is. You definitely don't know exactly how much you care about something until
mm-hmm,
you spend money on it. Until you
mm-hmm,
spend money on it. Like you could be like, oh, I really really want to be a professional BMX rider, but you just
mm-hmm.
buy a bike, and then maybe you buy a bike
Come
and you're
on.
like, actually, I don't want to be a BMX rider. So it's like you kind of
Mm-hmm.
need to get in. You have to skin in the game to know. So
Yep.
like that's kind of the same thing with crypto. It's like if you know, it's like you kind of want to get involved in what you think the future is. But
Yep.
yeah, I think this is good. This is a 2 hour run,
Yeah.
which is
Oh yeah. You've been going.
yeah, this is major. I think next time I might need to do these like on the walk because I've been one position for so long. So
Yeah.
this has been great. I really appreciate everyone who's here.
D, D Ferg
Uh,
left a really important comment. One
yeah,
one key thing to
yeah,
understand about Vibranium is that it is not only about buying the currency, you can also earn the currency. Yes, yes,
that needs
1000%.
that needs to be said so many times because that was something I
Yeah.
think that kind of I heard from our first one, which is like you can't change it unless you give people without money a way to get it. Like that, it's not a
Mhm.
revolution if you have to buy it.
Mhm.
So that is huge. Definitely remember that this is a network where for sharing links, content, stuff you would already share with your friends, with your community, with your network
Mhm.
of people who listen to you, you are able to earn just based off the influence that you currently have in your own
Yeah.
network. So that is big. Maybe the next talk we could just start with that as like
Mhm.
the big one.
Attention pays.
Yes, yes. I
You
will
know how your
pin it.
teachers always tell you to pay attention?
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention, pay attention. That's it's a thing. Attention pays. So there's other ways to earn currency.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you can like, and we know this subconsciously, like if I could get everyone's attention, that should be worth
Yeah,
something. So it's like let's make,
exactly.
yeah, let's make that like tangible. Yeah. So Mari, once again,
Thank you.
we're gonna have to
Thank
title these something, come up with like a combo of our names or something. But
Yeah.
these have been great. I mean, we really this I'm like we said this before. It's like cooking up in the studio. It's like wait, that
It
riff was
really
hot.
is.
That riff was hot. Let's loop that.
And you
That that.
never know. And the thing about going into a studio sessions, you never know what you're gonna cook up
Mm-hmm.
until the vibes just set in, and everybody come in and add their
Yep.
ingredient to the pot. Next thing you know, you got a special sauce.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
It's a gumbo. It's a gumbo. I've
it's a
had
gumbo.
sessions
Yep.
where a guy whose name I don't know to this day, he came in, did something on the guitar, left, and I was like, that made the whole song. That was crazy.
That's it.
That was
That's
it.
it.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Everyone,
Thanks for
thank you.
having me.
Yeah, once again, thank you everyone else who was on. Peace out. This will be up on the YouTube and the Instagram page.